Well, welcome back, guys. Nice little day off. Get back out today. We start our week. Obviously, it'll be a low practice today. We'll have helmets on. We got 3 days in a row this week. So we go low, no helmets. We'll come back and have a padded practice. And then we'll get into a nice little scrimmage for us. And then that obviously works us into our preseason games and what we want to do there. And with that, I'll open up for you guys.
Yeah, Coach, did you get a chance to look at, review where y'all at, get a little break, and then kind of start getting ramped up into the games here?
Always review where you're at, and actually we got the numbers we wanted to get them to, got the guys ramped up at a nice level last week. I know you guys can tell that last practice we had was our highest amount of reps and accumulated the stuff that you want to get done there. So then you started over this week and you get them ramped back up again to get us into a high practice towards the end of the week again. So feeling really good about where we're at as a team. And where we're going to go, and that gets us right into our preseason games to be able to get some of the guys out there to get some of that healthy, active competition going against somebody else would be nice.
And where you at health-wise with, I guess, Walker?
Walker be back this week. Hit him one at a time for me, Lay, so I don't mess you up.
Okay.
Walker be back this week and getting back out there in individual and get a couple team periods, and then we'll kind of ease him back in. Probably the next day after that, we'll kind of pull him back a little bit to unleash him a little bit towards that high practice. To get him ready to the off day and then get into what we call our preseason game stuff and get ready to get those guys to go.
And Watts, I guess he was missing.
Watts was missing. He'll be back. Out there today as well, getting him some team things as well, getting him to his individual stuff. He ran on the side last week. Obviously, that was preventative maintenance for him, and so it'd be fun to get him back and get all his guys back active.
When it comes to the decision, I know you had mentioned earlier in camp about who is going to play in the preseason. Is it safe to assume that you'll know more about that on Wednesday following the scrimmage, or do you feel like you're in a good enough spot to decide on who you want to see Friday?
I'm in a great spot, but definitely you're leaning the right way. We get a really good feel on after the scrimmage on who needs what you can get somebody, what you can get people. Obviously got a young football team, so there'll be a lot more people playing than we had last year. You have a couple young guys out there that's got to go out there and show some competitive things and get some positions that are up for battles. Where you want to see some of those things happen. Obviously, that'll happen within our own scrimmage. That'll happen within the preseason games. And obviously, we got the practices coming up the following week. So, really feeling good about that and feeling good about some of those healthy competitions that's going to occur over the next couple of days.
Raheem, how much talk is there, given that you talked about the youth movement and the veteran element? How do you handle the chemistry project of, being ready for Tampa through this evaluation period, knowing what your number is on the back end and how the whole structure works here?
Really got to give our personnel department a lot of the credit for some of that stuff of balancing our roster. We've drafted such high-level people in leadership positions, whether it's Drake London, whether it's Bijan Robinson, whether it's any of those type of guys that we drafted, even Kyle Pitts, and some of the leadership that they've been able to show over the last couple of days, and going out and acquiring a Jesse Bates, giving you real leadership on the back end with those guys. AJ Terrell, who's been here, a staple. Caden Ellis being acquired here is also our personnel people has acquired some really good leaders that allow you to go out and draft some of the guys we've been able to draft. And I know the word of the offseason has been edge, to bring some of that edge to our defense, to bring some of that edge to our team. Just in general, kind of like our O-line had already had, right? Our O-line has edge. Nobody talks about our O-line having edge, right? So it's bringing the edge to the defense, getting those guys together, getting those guys to go out there and play, and watching those guys all form and bond, right? And then it's teaching those things too, right? Very teachable moments has happened in camps with some of the fights and some of the things that occurred, not wasting time. They understand it more. They understand it better. It becomes less and less. It becomes stop, go back to the huddle. And it's really when it's player-led, that's when it's the best, because they know what they don't want to waste time and don't want to miss. That's the best part.
Follow up to that, how does that fit for these 3 games?
For us, I think it just goes into it, right? How much you pour into your guys, right? That leadership on the sideline, whether you're playing or whether you're out there with them, no matter what the case is a big part of it, right? When it's time to play and they say you're going, you're full go. And that's just how our guys go out there and react, whether it's practice, whether it's games, whatever the case may be, whether it's in the meeting room, just attacking every part of our day, our nutrition, the whole body, holistic wellness that we want to do with our players. And I think that's the big part of what we do. That is a very annoying sound. What is that?
I think it's outside.
Is that a cricket?
It sounds like a cricket.
That's disgusting.
That is sick, right?
What do you need to see from Carlos Washington in camp for him to take that next step in his career?
Carlos is he's done such an amazing job since he's been here. And everybody's just blown away by this cricket right now. They can't stop looking at him. He's done such an amazing job since he's been here, right? Just the development of Carlos, coming in, becoming a pro, and then really focusing on his nutrition, then really focusing on him owning everything in our playbook, and now focusing on him taking the next step of being a guy that can go out there and get some reps for us in live games. And watching him really mature throughout the course of last year was absolutely awesome. And when you give a guy a helmet and you move him up from the practice squad and you put him on a team, and a team like all knocks it up for him with that true enthusiasm, it lets you know about the guy and the makeup of the person. So I've seen a lot of growth from Carlos, and I've seen him get ready to get into these preseason games, take the next step to, try to get some significant minutes out there when it counts.
Coach, we had talked in the spring about James Pierce Jr. and how you kind of put him with AJ because you saw similarities between them when they were rookies, when AJ was a rookie. Just wondering how that's going with that mentorship process.
I think AJ's done a great job just kind of getting him into the program, and I think now James has done a great job of really opening himself up and really asking questions to everyone. I've seen him talk to O-linemen, I've seen him talk to coaches, I've seen him talk to different players, and is really talking football and ball and just trying to grow and learn. He even showed you guys a little more personality than he ever shown in his last press conference with you guys. And it's he's growing and he's developing, and he's learning, he's getting better and better every single day. And that's a part of the program, that's a part of who we are, that's a part of everything we would think of when we bring a player in here to try to develop and help them be the best version of themselves.
Coach, safe to say, and we have to ask, no quarterbacks, number 1, number 2 are not going to play Friday.
Yeah, I mean, Penix won't get out there, and Kurt won't get out there, so we'll see Stick, we'll see Emery. That's probably the most definitive thing that I can tell you right now. There'll be a lot of guys play, and there'll be a couple that won't.
Raheem, on the practice script so far in training camp, it looks like there's no, if little, 11 or 7-on-7 group sessions. How did that come to be, and why?
I am not a 7-on-7 guy. I think it's unrealistic for the quarterback. I think it's unrealistic for the DBs. I think it's unrealistic for the coverage. You will see some 7-on-7 coming up because there are different coaches that have different points of opinion on that. But I'm not a 7-on-7 guy. I love for the quarterbacks to feel the collapsing of the pocket or to get comfortable in the pocket. And I think that's a major part for us and a major part of how we grow. I got a bunch of coaches on my staff that are very like-minded. And that's just not something that I'm just a big believer in when it comes to those things. You will see some one-on-one pass rush and some of those things get implemented. Some one-on-ones from receivers, DBs get implemented this week. I just wanted to implement these guys and kind of ramp them up to what it looks like when you do those one-on-one things in pads and non-padded practices and things of that nature, or padded practices, to get them ready for those things. But I'm just not a big 7-on-7 guy. Right, but you do have some coming up.
You said from the start that you want Jalen to focus on one spot. I realize one spot is a lot for a rookie to pick up.
I'm sorry, you said Jalen?
Yeah.
Yeah, right from the beginning, we got Jalen going, obviously, as a rusher. You want to implement those things and get those things going, which you want him to do, right? We talked about being able to get, I forget Terry's word, but pass rush players. How he says that, he has a real cool word he says about that, like rush players. But he's definitely one of those things. And then as he gets comfortable and more comfortable playing, he missed a little time last week, but you're able to move him around a little bit more because that's a big part of his strengths and what he did at Georgia. And I think having to go out there and do some of those things for us will definitely come into play. But right now we've been really focused on him being a rusher on the edge, and those other things will come as they start to ease into our packages.
When you say as he gets more comfortable, do you mean during this rookie season or further down the road?
This is going to happen pretty quickly. I'm just saying as he gets more comfortable out there, moving around the system, the talk, the communication, all those things. He's already, starting to pick some of those things up because when you're in there, you're cross-training with some of those different things already. So he's already started to pick up. Very smart, very sharp, very detailed guy, which you all guys already know. So nothing you worry about from that standpoint, but you just want to give him a chance to be comfortable doing something first, see that happen, come to life, and now you start to move around, do some different things.
And one more, you mentioned last week he was impatient to get out there. And
yes.
You had to hold him back.
He's very impatient.
Clearance to be out there, do you have to kind of be careful as to how much he tries to show from the start? Yes,
I think that's part of our player education, right? It's like you got to communicate with guys. You can't assume. The minute you assume these guys are getting, what's up, Jeremy? The minute these guys, you kind of sit over there and be not just all quiet in the background. You try to, you got to get these guys rolling, right? You got to be able to communicate with these guys, tell them exactly what they're doing, why they're doing it, what is this for, What are those things for? Like, those are the things that you got to communicate with those guys to let them know how it's going to go. So today, when he's going out there and he'll have his full speed Indy and whatever we allocate for him as a team periods, that'll be it, right? That's the cutoff point. And you just ramp them up as you get into those things and like full-blown communication, and that's when you have the issues, when you don't communicate those things with the players the right way.
Because he was chomping at the bit and on you a bit to get back out there, when you told him that finally he's able to get eased back into practice, what was the reaction from Jalen?
He's not a big reactionary guy, just kind of give that look like I told you. Very sarcastic look, very sarcastic face, love him. But I definitely know the intent behind Jalen and what he wants to do and how he wants to do it. It's all to get out there, Maria. He wants to play. He is not a believer of taking care of his body when it comes to coaches. He's going to take care of his body himself, and sometimes you got to protect him from himself.
Going back to James for a second, we've talked so much about the positive things that you've seen from him in practice. What do you want to see him get better at right now?
It's just a boatload of things that he can get better at. Obviously he asks a lot of questions in meetings. He's done a nice job of doing that stuff in the meeting room, and he's done a nice job of doing the stuff on the practice field of really turning his aggression to being a positive outlook on everything. His turn and run has gotten better. There's a couple of things you can get done on how we want to run, how we want to pursue the ball, how you want to become just muscle memory for him when he sticks his foot in the ground and chases down plays, because he has so much speed, he can affect us that way. So like some of those things we can get better at, but those are just done over time and just done over coaching and not relenting. And I think our coaches upstairs have done a great job of not relenting with the coaching points that he's getting.
Coach, it's kind of felt like the methodology of, playing a lot of starters in the preseason, really across the league, has kind of been uniform in that you don't really see it a lot. Do the starters on your team kind of itch you, like to be like, hey, I want to play, and you're kind of holding it back, or like, is it one of those things they kind of understand at this point? Like, how does that kind of go?
I don't think it's necessarily our team. I think it's every team in the National Football League. These guys want to play football. That's what they want to do. But as a coach, we go find ways to mitigate injuries, and we go find ways to get the people that we need to see and to get them in position to go out there and play, which is really, really good for us. So, like, you can kind of use whatever theory you may have as a coach and whatever theory you may want as a coach. All these things are very important every step of the way, whether you're talking about practices, the games, you're talking about your own good on good, iron sharpening iron, all the things that we say, all the cliche plays that we say. But, whatever is need for that player to go out there and get those things done is what you got to do. And then obviously, Jesse Bates will come wanting to play and do some things. And you may not feel that way about it, and you may not want him to get out there in that situation. But sometimes you feel that way. I remember Jalen Ramsey, when we were at the Rams, he wanted to play every snap. He wanted everything to be full speed. He didn't want to do walkthroughs. You got to kind of control all those things. So it's the same way in football. You guys have been around for a long time, and these guys love playing.
Coach, you talk cool on Mooney still?
Same as last week, same as we've been. Whatever it's been, I think we're at the full week now, so we got a couple more weeks.
Coach, you talked about the edge that this team is developing this year, the attack style that Jeff Ulbricht's bringing. How do you think the players on defense have adjusted to the new defensive play caller?
I think guys are like really excited when you get a chance to unleash and uncoil some things that you want to do, no matter what it is. And I think Brick brings a certain excitement and certain exuberance to the room that guys want to go out there and display excellence. You guys heard him say heart, mind, fist a million times since he's been here, and like he says it every day in the meeting. He starts with it every day, and I think those guys are starting to develop a real trend for themselves on how they want to establish that when they go out there and play, practice, perform, meetings, everything that they do. So like you do everything, you do anything like you do everything, and like those guys are going out there displaying it every single day, and I'm loving it.
Do you think that's kind of lended itself to kind of the aggression that you've seen from James this offseason, or is that just something that's just part of who he is?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's lended just to James. I think it's the whole defense. I think all of those guys have kind of been playing that way. I think it's just the relentless attitude, the stuff that they're establishing within those rooms and how you coach it. That's just how he verbalizes that day. That's how he pitches that day, and that's what he decides to go out and do. And it's just getting better and better with all of those guys. But it's still a certain point of learning how to practice, which he's gotten so much better at the last couple of days. And I know you guys have seen it. We've all seen it. We've discussed it ad nauseum almost. Especially Mark, he loves that stuff. He's asked every player in the football team about the fight. He asked the guy he asked the guy one time that wasn't even in the fight about the fight. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I'm picking on him. He wants to ground and pound every single day.
Gotta have context.
But and then fighting's not a part of it. It serves a little bit of emotion, but it's like how do you play as hard as you possibly can to get those things out like these guys have been able to do, and I'm really just fired up where they're going.
Got time for one more?
Yeah, Coach, how do you, Coach Smith was saying that Jalen was falling behind a little bit by missing the practice. How you try to catch him back up when you get him back out there?
Coach Smith is right in his own room, right? Is what it is. It's not about falling behind. It's like about you want to get him out there. That's what he was trying to say. And it's like for Jalen, you know this guy, and we know this guy really well as far as from a preparation standpoint, who he is. And we also know our performance side really well, whether you're talking about Jake, whether you're talking about Griff, and that whole performance crew and what you need to do to get this guy ready for ultimately what the most important goal dates are, right? And that's obviously the first game of the season. But getting them back out there so you don't waste time by losing them a little longer because of the mindset of my coach and or my player having the same type of mindset I get. And that's my job to get in there and to make sure we're ready to do all those things to get them ready.
All right, thanks, Al.
Have a good one.